Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome to the Tower of Babel Survivors of Chaos demo, which is, it's a bullet heaven. It's another bullet heaven, but this one's trying to mix in some Diablo elements, which is interesting. Acquired item level, 11 to 15%. Okay, so that instantly makes this at least a little bit more interesting. I literally was talking about this yesterday in a video of like, you know, I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't seen more bullet heavens start going kind of in an action RPG angle. Let's see. So recover life every second, experience from great. I don't know. None of these are exciting. Increases the number of enemies spawn. Let's just do that. I don't know how long I'm going to be here for, but right now I have literally nothing to build around, so I'm just going to go for whatever. So okay, so I do actually have like a right-click throw axe ability. So reduce damage taken, mana regen. Let's go for the mana regen. Looks like regenerate mana by hitting enemies. Let's see, resurrection. Okay. Oh, Heaven's Judgment. This is actually an actual ability. So sure, let's go for that. Let's see if it actually triggers. Yep, so it looks like we just get random procs of those things coming down. Now, do I heal normally? No, doesn't look like I do. Let's see. Curse random enemies to explode upon death, falling meteors, or ice orbs. Meteors. Okay, piece of equipment. Can I put it on? No, I don't think. Yeah, so it looks like I'm gonna have to wait until after. Let's see. Attack enemies from greater range, more movement speed. Nah, I'm just gonna go for as many auto abilities as I possibly can. We'll just see what happens. Let's go find some gear. Let's see. Enhances your special attacks, basic attacks, extend the duration of persistent skills. Let's go for special attacks. I don't really have any reason to go for my basic attack. I guess it's okay. I'm pretty sure that's not going to scale until I've gotten some more gear and equipment to reliably use. Waves of lightning radiate from you, striking nearby enemies. Okay, so it's not a consistent thing. I was kind of hoping for a garlic just because, but hey. I know garlic's a bit of a noob trap in Vampire Survivors, but at least it's something. Okay, and I can actually step on that without it causing damage. Let's see. Dagger volley, experience gain. Let's go for the level up faster here. We seem to be leveling up pretty quickly. Considering we're 2 minutes in and I'm already level 9, which is extremely fast. I'm not exactly used to that. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. Yeah, the music on this was coming off as painfully generic, just dark drums, and I was getting bored of it already, which is a bit of an issue. Definitely something I'd love to see fixed for the actual release of this game is like a soundtrack with a little bit more something. The problem with the dark fantasy music is that I've heard it so many times before that it loops past feeling repetitive and loops into feeling, or some things that you get used to. You know, I've heard this a billion times before. It just doesn't register anymore. Dark fantasy music has looped past that point where it no longer it registers. That's extra damage, crit chance. Let's go for the cast speed. We just want my abilities to proc more. Where, you know, unless it's actually got some bite to it, unless it actually like really feels or sounds epic, it actually sounds grating to me. You know, just like too much drum. Let's just keep going for my special attacks. I don't know if there's an upper limit to how many of them I can equip, so we just want to grab as many as we can. I get the distinct feeling the entire point of this is that we go until we die, but I could be wrong. I'm not seeing any kind of like, you know, ending point here. So I'm assuming we just do like survival loops until we get so overwhelmed we can't win anymore. Let's see, evade attacks more frequently. Spinning blade, basic attack. It seems to me that the upgrades are pretty minor. And so it might actually be more practical for me to just stack as many abilities as I possibly can and then go for generic upgrades rather than like singular ones. But I could be wrong. No, I guess the Starfall did give me another shard. Yeah, do I have a dodge or anything? The answer is no. At least not from what I can tell. I think we might also want to go for a little bit of experience pickup radius. Let's see. So damage attack radius. Oh, 3-star dagger. So damage, cast speed, and projectile count. I wonder if the stat bonuses are random. I do not know. But neat that you can actually randomly get higher tier moves. I actually really appreciate that. Okay, got out of the center, and then they're all just going to line up for my abilities. I passed on health regen at the beginning of this, and I think that was a mistake. I think I actually would have benefited from that kind of immensely. But whatever. Well, I do appreciate this enemy spawn pattern. I was playing a different Bullet Heaven yesterday. Ooh, evasion, special attack, damage and piercing chance. Probably just damaging and piercing chance. I was playing Jotun Slayer, Hordes of Hell or something to that extent. I saw a couple of people left comments on that video specifically saying that it came off as a little generic. And yeah, it did. I think that is actually a serious problem that Bullet Heavens in general are going to have to contend with going forward, is that a lot of the really basic ideas have been tapped and maxed. You know, Vampire Survivors pretty much has created a... Adds additional projectiles or attacks. 50% projectile account to everything? So maybe more meteors, more starfall shards, more whatever. But that... this is a common problem with a lot of genres. Let's see. Earth Spike. Probably Earth Spike. I'm just going to stack as many of these as I possibly can. Where the game that sets the genre usually is the one that kind of takes the cake and runs away with it, at least until the genre becomes established. So more damage and piercing chance, number of enemies spawn, improves our special attacks. Let's keep just improving special attacks in general, because that seems at least halfway useful. But so, what's a good example of this? Well, like Binding of Isaac. I wouldn't exactly call it the first of its kind. You know, it's just a generic twin-stick shooter with really good roguelike mechanics layered on top of it, and then just layered and layered and layered until... I don't even know. I mean, it just keeps getting more layers. I think they're quote-unquote officially done, but they did the online multiplayer recently that, admittedly, I couldn't get working because, netcode issues, but, like, still impressive that it was there and it was a thing. But I've seen oodles of games that have actively tried to become Vampire Survivors. Sure. Anytime we get one of those, like, two-star level ups that just gives me a 2-for-1 deal, I might as well take that. No reason not to, right? And yeah, it seems like the leveling up of abilities is possibly random, that it rather than like a static, like this is the level 2 version of this, it's more just pick whatever upgrade. Which I think actually works. I prefer the randomly generated stat points rather than having it be fixed amounts. Unless the fixed changes are interesting. I'm thinking like overclocks in Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. You know, those overclocks are actually interesting to interact with. Oh, right. Mana regen. Boy, that would make a difference if I was actually using it. Oh, the extra projectiles probably applies to my axe. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, we need to probably make sure that these guys aren't shooting at me. Are these pots not breakable? I'm actually upset about that. It feels like such a wasted opportunity to have them not be breakable. Actually, it looks like ranged enemies are going to be a bit of an issue. It's fine. Okay, we get a bunch of stuff. Loot acquired. Let's see. And a run. Stolen items can be bought from the merchant. But we did keep the blue. Oh, but they're unidentified. Let's talk to him. Mysterious translator. I'll identify the items you've acquired to see if they're any good. All equipment. Okay, so what do we have? Cold resistance, fire resistance, extra int, bonus damage to close enemies. Well, it's a better axe than I have. Better helmet. Shattering owl, rare item, attack power, fire skill, casting speed, intelligence, special attack damage. I mean, we might as well throw all of them on. This instantly makes the game mildly more interesting. Okay, so we also have Altar of Blessings. So, ability blessing, class blessing, and then we've got other things that we can't do yet. So attack power, strength, dexterity, max life, a little bit of mana regen. Ah, +4 level up chance. +3, +2. So that increases the chances of that. Oh, basic attack, attack power. Special attack. I see. So that just increases the chances of getting more of them. I do like that. What else do we have around here? Oh, good. The item sprites show up on the character. Why would anyone trade weapons in a place like this? The new ones always run their damn mouths. Doesn't matter. You'll end up as Monster Chow anyway. Looks like the monsters aren't the only ones with a nasty bite around here. Spit, if you've any sense, you'd better gear the hell up. Okay, dialogue. Looks like I pretty much can't afford any of these. I could buy these, but I don't think I care too deeply. And also, neat part is these are actually like rare items. Like they're not just like random common junk. Can I sell that? Yeah. And runs until they refresh. Good. Not available in the demo. Fair enough. I'm assuming blacksmith is for improving your stuff. Not available in the demo. Fair enough. Yeah, so we might be pretty hard locked to this character. So let's just do another run. Let's see, because yeah, I don't even have enough money to get more blessings. Ah, shit. I forgot my water bottle. I was like, I know something's wrong. I'm thirsty. That's what's wrong. Oops. Alright. There we go. Now that I'm properly coiffed, let's do this again. So what do we want to mess around with? I think part of it is there's no real... Well, special attacks is the answer. Enhances your special attacks. 30 damage, crit chance, piercing. Yeah, so it seems like if you get enough of that meta progression, you'll be able to get a bunch of those like +2 or 3 level ups that you can really use. So chance for projectiles to pierce enemies. That one maybe wasn't the most useful. I think the other thing we want to keep an eye out for is that healing over time. And fire abilities. Because I think a couple of my items specifically benefit. A couple of my abilities really give boosts to fire. And considering I have nothing else better going on, might as well. Let's see, Spinning Blade, Heaven's Judgment. Well, I mean, Heaven's Judgment was fine. Legitimately a good item. So attack range from, or enemies from greater range. Okay, so I do actually get extra projectiles on my axe. Just maybe not consistently. Let's see. More piercing chance, more Heaven's Judgment. Let's just go hard on Heaven's Judgment for the time being. Yeah, I wish you could break the pots and barrels for like small health items or gold or something. Just for a little bit of extra. Just extra, I guess, really. You know, like, oh, I'm taking some damage, break a pot. Hurls magic hammers in all directions, piercing through enemies. Well, sure. Looks like it has a limited amount of range. The one thing I sincerely question with how this game handles level ups mostly boils down to the question of, is it actually worth picking up a new ability? See, curse increases the number of enemies spawned. I mean, as we saw later, we get plenty. I don't think any more curse at the moment. I think I was just feeling kind of spicy and a little bored on my first run, because I knew I was going to lose anyway. Because as far as I can tell, I can't tweak my gear and equipment until after the run. I guess it makes sense, because the goblin's going to steal whatever items are sitting in my inventory. Okay, Dragon's Breath, or Magic Hammer. Let's go for Dragon's Breath. Gulfs in the front with the fiery breath of a dragon. Oh. Okay, I appreciate that. That it wasn't just a wave. It's in fact a toast everything into non-existence. Actually, it looks like we got a decent amount of stuff from that. Yeah, definitely want to get life regen, if I can manage to find any. There it is. So 1% life every 3 seconds. It's not an amazing amount, however, that's going to keep the chip damage off. Previously, we died mostly from attrition. And the fact that ranged enemies are annoying, because I have no dash. Or dodge. At least to my knowledge. Okay. Duration of persistent skills. Actually is really good, kind of. I do really wish I could see the cooldowns on certain things. The main thought is, I would love to see the cooldown on that fire breath, to see if I could actually get it so that it has 100% uptime. Okay, so range is tempting, but I think we're going to go for special attack. It gives me more damage, range, projectile count, and crit chance. All the special attacks do not include these magic attacks, and special attacks are in fact my, like, right click, at which point I'd be upset. It's possible. I just don't think it's likely. Unfortunately, with no, like, substantive tagging system that I could see, it's hard to tell. I would love to see a tagging system, you know, you hover over a spell, or, you know, a new ability. Ice Orb, is it a skill? Is it a spell? Is it, you know, what's it affected by? Obviously ice-related abilities. Well, that's kind of a fun variant on Ice Orb. It rotates you instead. Because I think the Ice Orb in Diablo... let's see, the Ice Orb in Diablo, you fire it out and it kind of goes into rooms, which I think Hammerwatch kind of yoinked, and I don't mind that because it's quite good. Okay, Spinning Blades, level 2, sure. Get them in the mix. And there's literally no reason not to. Especially if they're, you know, starting at a higher level. Okay. Yeah, I've got the regen, but I shouldn't be too careless. Because yeah, we're going to keep the chip off of me. Might also want to turn the sound effects down even more. Let's see. So more damage and piercing chance. More damage and projectile count. There's also attack area, but I think I'm going to go with that. And let's go back into the audio. Not a Wanderbot video without me tweaking sound settings a bunch. I just do not care for repetitive sound effects at all. Oh, so the bonus projectiles ignite my farts. Okay. So yeah, the way it works is every time one of these attacks starts, it rolls the dice. So if there's like a fraction projectile bonus. I'd like the magic item Find Chance, however Heaven's Judgment gets a huge boost, so we're picking that up instead. But yeah, it rolls the dice and says, oh, you know, you have bonus projectile on this one. And so it'll spawn an extra rotating ice orb or extra fire coming out the butt or something like that. So if we get the fire out to level 3, it's probably going to fire kind of in a triangle around me. I do appreciate that. I think this is neat. I'm curious to see how the gear and equipment system works. Namely because it feels like it has a lot of options there. But it also feels like it's a lot of... Because it's a lot of options, it's also maybe going to be a little tougher for me to find exactly what I'm looking for. That right now it's really just a massive stats. And tweaking, getting exactly the right thing is going to be a little harder. On the flip side, you know, if even one or two of those abilities is like absurdly good, I could see it making a difference, like really pushing you towards like a fire build. I think the only immediate problem within that would then be, you know, how do you get substantial fire to make a fire build even possible? Because currently there's no build crafting, we don't have any rerolls, we don't have any banishes, and maybe we get access to that at a later date. Yeah, right now there is a... Let's see, casting speed. I think we want to go for casting speed. The faster we have cast, the more often I can fire my special abilities, which, I mean, if we're lucky with both cast speed and duration, we can get those ice orbs and the flamethrowers to be going perpetually, or even get them to overlap on each other, which would be extremely nice. Okay, my health's looking good. I'm not taking too much. A little bit of experience magnet range wouldn't be a bad idea either. Because there's a lot of stuff that I can't pick up because it's just slightly outside of my reach. That's not that huge of an issue. We need the gold, but I think mostly I care about equipment. Ice orb, yes. So more damage, cast speed, and piercing chance. So I wonder if those stats below... I'm assuming that's the new additions rather than the cumulative bonus. Because one of the reasons why I'm picking just so many abilities rather than going tall is mostly just because these are like small 30% bonuses. You know, every time this levels up, it gets a 30% bonus off of whatever its base stats are, which isn't the most, like, powerful. But with the gaining 2 or 3 levels simultaneously, that suddenly goes up in terms of, like, practicality. Because the problem with going tall when your tall bonuses are kind of small is that you're better off just getting as many abilities as you can stack. Because, you know, another ability is effectively doubling your damage. Whereas... or it's a plus 100% of whatever, you know, that specific item's abilities are. All damage dealt, resurrect on death. I don't actually want resurrection, so I think we just want to do the damage. Whereas, yeah, just getting a small 10% boost on something you already have doesn't feel as good. Some bullet heavens get around this by giving you a limited amount of ability slots, saying, oh, you can only equip 5 items, so then after that, yeah, you have to start picking and choosing between those percentile buffs to figure out which fits better, or fits your build better. There we go. There's a lot of projectiles going my way. I don't appreciate that. The problem is we've got a whole mess of these big guys, and they're just chunky enough that I can't really get around them. Okay, we got the item at the very least. We might lose it, but we got the item. So it was the most amount of damage by far. Really? The Starfall. I guess it kind of makes sense. Looks like it mostly stole the less valuable items, at least. Well, let's go talk to the merchant anyway and see what she's got for me. Okay, rebuy. Lost. 325 for that. All resistances, cast speed, mana, plus skill focus, and recover some life. So that is actually good. But I don't think it's worth reclaiming. Okay, so what do we have? I mean, if I don't have anything better, I might as well grab it. So, shift to compare. So we'd lose a little bit of piercing. We'd lose some piercing, or we'd lose the piercing chance. We'd lose some armor, and we'd actually lose recover 10% of life on level up. That's very good. Main question is, what does dexterity do? It doesn't say. That's a problem. This game needs better tooltips. It's got so much information here, but what does dexterity do? Because you'd think some of these other stats would change. Does dexterity currently not do anything? Huh. Odd. I don't know. Unless it's just like a prerequisite for... No. I don't know. Okay, so that's worth a little bit more. Let's see. Items or runs until next refresh. I think the problem is most of these are expensive, so it doesn't seem particularly worthwhile. Especially when I have meta progression that I should be probably buying. Oh, here we go. So dexterity increases our crit innovation, strength is attack power and armor, mana regen and all resistance, and then max life. Problem is, what I really want to save up for is this stuff. Well, silly as it sounds, I think I'm going to put it into max health. Most of our issue, we needed damage there. I shouldn't discount that. But the higher my max HP, the more I can heal with the percentile healing. Healing is always kind of an interesting thing. Some games give you a flat, fast healing of like, oh, I heal for X every round. And others give a percentile bonus. And so if it's a flat amount, it doesn't really matter what your max HP is. If it's a percentile, then you want to be as big and beefy as you possibly can. Because, you know, 1% of 10,000 is a hell of a lot better than 1% of 100. Okay, life regen. Snag that, seeing as it's not giving me anything terribly fancy at the moment. I like the right-click attack, but it does feel like... Let's see. I hope I get the ability to switch that out later with other abilities. Like, I like the gear and equipment system. I don't mind the mid-run upgrades. I do kind of wish this had like a Diablo-style talent tree. Okay, so we got an area bonus. So that actually is something to kind of keep in mind. Basic attack, dagger, bonus to special attacks. And maybe I should focus hard on my basic attacks. I think the main reason why I don't want to yet is mostly my weapon is garbage. And so I think I'd want to wait until we get another one of those. Not being too lucky with the whole, like, plus 2 or 3 levels here. Unfortunately, those upgrades cost, like, thousands of gold. Which is a little tragic. Special attack bonus? Yeah, let's go for this. I'd like the duration bonus. But no can do. Alright. I guess I might as well still use my mana a little bit. I'm mostly just curious about how the axe works, because they've got this whole mana system here. But it seems kind of vestigial. Yeah, I guess I'll grab it. The main thing is just... my mana is only useful for hucking my axe, and as of yet, I'm not modifying it in any way, shape, or form. I think that is one immediate problem I'm running into with this, is that I like the gear and equipment system. I think that's really cool. But I don't benefit from the mana regen. You know, only one of my abilities scales off of mana regen, and it's not a good one. Unless it is a good one, I don't know. Okay, so it does like 30 damage, so the throwing axe is quite good. But... now let's see, corpse explosion. Go for corpse explosion on top of everything else. Okay, that actually seems like it will be pretty good. Yeah, so random enemies that I hit have a chance of exploding. Level up even faster. That's kind of good. It feels like this game is going to have kind of a delightful snowball. But what I was going to say is, I'm getting small upgrades. You know, I can boost my attack damage and whatnot. And eventually we can probably get that to scale quite well. Gold drop rate, spinning blades. But right now, like, even if I scale my damage up, you know, maybe I can increase the range, maybe I can increase the amount of damage it does. Maybe I can increase how fast I attack, but currently it's just small linear upgrades that make my attack come out in a progressively bigger, faster, and generally more deadly wave. It doesn't really like change how it works in any meaningful fashion, so it doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel particularly impactful. And so it is one of those where I'm digging the various abilities they're throwing at me, but I actually wish it wasn't. That this feels like a fairly generic bullet heaven that has a Diablo loot equipment system slapped on top of it. My assumption is it's probably influenced by... do we even crit? I don't think my crit chance is particularly high, so it doesn't seem particularly necessary. But it's a fairly generic bullet heaven that has had Diablo loot and equipment slapped on top of it. There's nothing strictly wrong with that, but it does mean it's unremarkable. Special attack bonus, sure. Ooh, especially with the extra projectile count. That becomes extremely helpful. Because, you know, for the most part, me ending a run and starting over, yeah, I get new weapons, and I appreciate that. Do you want the piercing chance? Yeah, I'll grab it. That is actually going to be helpful, because it means my daggers are going to go a little further. Let's see. But so, I go back and manage my equipment, I find whatever the best items are, and I slap them on. Right now, it's going to be somewhat thoughtless, because it's entirely scaled based off of, you know, what is the highest rarity thing that I've found, generally. Not always, but generally. So more projectile count? Yeah. We want to go for as much of that as possible. Duration would be nice because I could keep the ice orbs up longer, but more projectile count means more ice orbs. So now we're alternating between 3 or 4, which is pretty good. Let's see. I wish I could actually see my DPS. But yeah, there's no way I can check that live, unfortunately, so I'll have to play it by ear. Okay, so the problem I have somewhat with this mostly boils down to my right click is worthless. Like, I mean, okay, it's not worthless, it's a fine attack, but I have not received a single upgrade that makes my right-click attack more interesting. And I think that's actually a bit of a problem. Instead, I've been getting all of these upgrades for other stuff. You know, my Starfall, my Ice Shot. And, like, yes, the extra projectile generic upgrades. Like, that stuff actually is helping. And so that's good. But it feels like, why have this whole mana regen stat for an ability that I'm not going to be able to modify in any meaningful fashion over the course of a run that stays generic and not that interesting? And so, as much as I like the random abilities that are being tossed at me, I actually really wish that they weren't. I wish they were things that I would, like, you know, pick up skill gems and learn over the course of a run. And, you know, maybe you can only bring, like, X amount of abilities into the run with you. But then all of the upgrades that you're getting, rather than having, like, new abilities being presented, you're just getting tons of interesting upgrades to pair with them instead. Like, oh, your axe now bounces between enemies. Oh, you know, you have 10 axes that you're throwing, you know, in a circle around you. Oh, you've combined all of those axes into one giant axe. And so it's more about kind of cobbling together the best possible build you can with the tools that you were given, rather than cobbling your build together. Oh, okay. So putting together like a starting build and then min-maxing it as much as possible during the course of a run versus cobbling your build together over the course of the run. And I recognize that, like, this would be a pretty massive overhaul, but it feels like the game is missing something kind of dire. And I think so much of it is just that, yeah, we have this whole bonus system. Go for the extra regen. Those mages are going to kill me just because of quantity of projectiles. I should probably go out of my way to just slay as many of them as I possibly can. And somewhat ignore everything else. The extra money is good too, and obviously we want gear and equipment. Let's see. But, yeah, I would love to see just like a really massive talent and ability web or something like that that you're exploring between levels. And then you bring those abilities in, and you're kind of just mixing and matching. I guess the one problem is it would feel maybe a little bit repetitive, that it's like, oh, you know, my builds, I've just been using this exact same build for like every run for the last 2 hours. But I do that in hack and slash action RPGs, like Diablo Path of Exile. It's not like my build changes too much after a certain point. You know, it's a fairly static experience, and so I could see it being more about like, each run you do some tweaks to really min-max that build and experience a little bit more. Maybe part of this is I've been playing Hammerwatch, and it does kind of exactly this. And not to say that Hammerwatch is the ideal here, but that it does a very good job of giving you your starting abilities, well, between runs. And you can even, like, upgrade them, even if it's, like, only a small amount. Okay, I'm thinking I just keep going for these ice orbs. I don't necessarily know if the ice orbs are actually that good, but they have a lot of coverage, and there's a lot of enemies for that coverage to hit. Projectile hiding on the other side of a pillar. Exceedingly rude. Let's see. But then, over the course of a run in Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, you're getting modifiers to change your abilities and kind of go for different builds, and then you're also getting a bunch of items that you can kind of min-max in that. Do you want to go for an attack build, a skill build, whatnot? And admittedly, I don't think it gives that much fine-tune control, unfortunately. And so I'd love to actually see that expressed. Oh god. That's a hell of a lot of freaking casters just shooting at me. Still, we've made it a fair bit further than I have before, so who knows? Maybe if I survive this, we'll be good. Let's just go for the corpse explosion. So is that the end of it? No, of course not. Now we have goblins. The most dangerous creatures. Okay, special attack, damage, and even more projectile count. I like that. Because, yeah, the more projectile count I can get, the more of these ice orbs I can have just surrounding me. Yeah, if we see pickup radius, I think we'll try and go for it. The main thing is, I guess, to go back to the idea of, like, my build's been the same, you know, every run for the last X number of runs, but here I am doing kind of functionally the same build that I've done every other run because these are the only options that are available to me. That I think no matter what, you just do end up with some level of stagnancy. I think it's just a matter of, like, how does that stagnancy, how do you overcome that stagnancy? I guess actually some crit chance would work. Unfortunately, there's no stat screen for me to check. And I think it desperately needs that. Ow. Okay, so the explodey bugs are a problem. But yeah, some way to check, like, yeah, what is my crit chance right now? Is it actually worth going for crit damage? Currently, my assumption is my crit chance is extremely low. And so getting like a 60% crit chance bonus would be mostly pointless. Because yeah, if you only have a 5% chance to crit, then a 60% crit chance bonus is what? 12% damage up? Not very good. Now obviously if you can boost that crit chance, you know, up to a 10%, that 12% goes up as well. And so that is kind of the inherent value of like stacking crit and crit damage. But it only works if you can reliably do so. And even then, it also depends on how well it scales. Because if, you know, if you think of it this, thinking of getting that extra crit chance and crit damage as bonus value, damage value, but you could get more DPS out of just a flat upgrade instead. A hell of a lot of goblins. At least they're not very durable. There's just a lot of them, which means they're extremely vulnerable, hopefully, to getting corpse exploded. So what is the upper limit here? Because yeah, that one goblin creature came through and nicked my gear. Or it nicks my gear at the end of the run if I die, which means that the run has to end with a win somehow. Okay, am I about to get sandwiched between a bunch of giant, muscly headsmen? I think so. That's somebody's fetish, it ain't mine. Behead me harder. It's what my brain just said in response, and I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. Oh, they also do a charge. That's interesting. The problem is, if I can get outside of the mix, then the headsmen aren't really too much of an issue. They do have a little bit of a sprint, though, that makes them a little trickier. The other problem is, because I'm not killing too many of these guys close to me, I'm not getting any of the experience for taking them out. Okay, let's just scoot this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get overwhelmed shortly. Yeah, there we go. I'm not actually sure what was hitting me. I guess the headsmen might have bigger hitboxes. Right, let's identify our gear first, and then let's go see about what we've lost. I don't actually know if we need to care. Okay, so lost. What? Oh, wait, buy price. Actually, it's not that bad. I was worried that I was not going to be able to get that back. Okay, so I think at this point we sell most of our common gear. I guess let's take a look. Okay. Well, it's a better helmet. That's a better belt. What about these gloves? So, special attack projectile count, basic attack area, chance to recover life on crit. I don't think I care too deeply about it. Oh, and that's a better amulet. Okay. So yeah, let's sell all of these. I don't think these gloves are that good. Yeah. And like, we're getting more money. So why is this that much more expensive? I guess probably just because it's a weapon. And they do have special effects. Crowd control effects have a chance to spread to nearby enemies. So yeah, the red items are quite good. Dragon's Breath, chance to cast additionally when performing basic or special attacks. Oh, that's very good. If only I could afford that. Because yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Kind of. Don't quite know what light skill critical chance means. And the rest of that isn't that good. Some of these are more expensive than others, and I don't quite know why. Oh. Yeah, what's that symbol? Not sure, because there's a cup there. Yeah, not sure. Whatever it does, I don't get it. And that's fine. So what do we want to do and invest into? Because I'm assuming attack power is just all of my regular attacks. And as much as I want to get these, I think we need to fill these out before I can level up. Oh, we need 12 levels to level this up. Those are extremely small bonuses. I mean, I guess you're supposed to get it up past 250 upgrades actually would make this kind of meaningful. Maybe? Let's see. It's 5 to get to a 0.1. Okay, so ultimately 250 points invested in dexterity would get me... Is that just 5% crit chance? Yeah, it's 5% crit chance and then like 7.5 evasion, which doesn't seem like much, but I guess it does stack up if you're factoring in the fact that your gear and equipment is also increasing your stats, so like that actually does become something fairly meaningful after a while. So I think that was a better run by far. We definitely got further. Let's see. Special attack, cast speed, basic attack. I mean, I could try this. No. I think we leave special attack for slightly later. Once I have a good weapon. Maybe. Because I think right now my main weapon is abysmal. Magic item chance. I do want the experience pickup radius, but I'm not saying no to a better drop rate. Because I think I need that. Okay, basic attack, yeah, fine. I guess I'll work on my basic attacks this run. Game has said, do it. Get the Dragon's Breath as well. I'm just gonna go for like a very frontal build, unless we get something particularly powerful that says otherwise. But yeah, go attack speed. Go attack speed, go basic attack damage. Area of effect. Bonus projectiles I don't think is going to help with my axe attack, as I don't think that affects anything. Okay. Yeah, reduce damage. Attack area would be kind of tempting, but I think it's still probably better that I just go hard on my basic attack, nothing more. No, going for the AoE is probably good. I think it's mainly just getting to the point where I can one-shot anything. Could be useful. I don't actually know which is better between the Dragon's Breath and the Throwing Knives. I think I just like the Dragon's Breath, and I know we at least have 1 or 2 perks for fire abilities. No, corpse explosion. Oh, it's a projectile that flies out of me. I see. I thought it was something I had to hit enemies with. Still, it's useful. I like that one. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, all of these are special skills. I don't necessarily mind it, but I wish I had one more option. Because it does really feel like it pushes you towards a skill-based upgrade system. And rarely lets you actually upgrade your basic attack in any meaningful fashion. I think one thing I'd love to see on this is those overclock systems. Specifically, like, get any ability up to level 5 and you get a special perk. Let's just go for special attack bonuses. I do wonder if the axe is affected as like a special skill or if it's an attack. As far as I know, I have no way of knowing this or checking it out. Let's see. Duration doesn't do me any good, right? I guess it boosts Dragon's Breath. But I'm just going to boost Dragon's Breath instead. Yeah, I think I should be getting a fair bit more regen. Let's see. Because I think I heal on level up, and I should just be healing normally. 15% evasion chance. Yeah, I'll pick that up. Would like to go, you know, put upgrades into my main attack, but if it's not, well, if it's going to give me a incentive like that one, I think I have to go for it. There we go. It is very satisfying hearing all of the enemies just go pop in the background. I guess it's a little bit more of a bamf more than anything else. Okay, projectile count, attack area, yup. Because yeah, if we can get my attack area to be kind of huge, that also would be extremely valuable. Surprisingly, not getting a whole lot of gold here so far. And unfortunately, that's one of the things I think I'm going to need the most of. Because the meta progression requires it, all of the boosts for attacks and specials and whatnot also needs it. I think I'm going to go Corpse Explosion as well, just because that's been... It's consistent and reasonably easy to pull off. Crit chance, yeah, but basic attack. If we can get really lucky, we can also get like a 2 or 3 star attack speed boost, which would be nice. There we go. I guess I should be using my axe, because my throwing axe does a decent amount of bonus damage. Damage and range. So probably AoE just increases the width, and range increases the length. Maybe. Hard to say. Well, credit where credit is due. My basic attack does do a lot of damage. The main question is, once we start getting into the harder stuff, how's it going to hold up? Yeah, can we get to the Headsman Swarm again with this build? I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's this game or if, probably it's mostly me at the moment. There's another Bullet Heaven that I cover very rarely, even though it's like fairly good, called Army of Ruin. But it's one of the only games that has ever actually put me to sleep. Ooh, big helmet. There was something about it where I was just kind of zoning out and nodding off, and maybe I was just tired. I don't know. I oscillate between having extremely bad insomnia and being totally fine. And my insomnia has been pretty bad lately for a variety of reasons. And so it's one of those where I haven't been getting quite enough sleep, comboed with, I think, the slow kind of meditativeness of this. I could switch the music so it was less dark ambient, but at least this is a dark ambient that doesn't get on my nerves. I mean, I could switch to just Outrun music, but I almost feel like that'd just be wrong. It would feel weird. Okay, well, I'm feeling hale and hearty. It's really the question of, can we get past the extremely jerksome Dark Wizard waves? And then can we survive the Headsman? So the reason why I don't want Earth Spike is because it actually kind of obscures what I can see. And I'm not a big fan of that. Let's see. I was having random enemy attacks kind of hiding in it, or even smaller enemies, and that was kind of tricky. Trying to gather my thoughts on this. Earlier I talked about that, how this is kind of a generic Bullet Heaven that doesn't really do anything too special. It just has a Diablo loot system layered on top of it, which I think is a good idea, and I think that should be supported. I think one thing I'd love to see is weapons that actually have different attack patterns and special abilities. I guess I'll have to find a different weapon. Currently, all I've found have been axes so far. But I'd actually love to see some weapons with different attack patterns, you know, dual daggers or a spear or stuff like that. Because I think that actually has a lot of interesting potential to play around with, of weapons that strike slightly differently. Maybe. On the plus side, we do a decent chunk of damage. Even the big boys go down. I think part of it is my damage is very focused in one specific direction, so that it's a little harder to specifically manage the horde that is coming after me. But maybe that's fine. As long as I can kill my way through them, I think is the big one. I think that's also where I'm having some problems, is because I'm not killing through the horde particularly well. This is gonna hurt. Earth Spike, basic attack, or projectile count. Basic attack. But I was thinking about how Bullet Heavens are kind of speedrunning the Metroidvania problem. And the roguelite deck builder problem. Specifically, one of the biggest issues plaguing roguelite deck builders is because Slay the Spire exists. You know, earlier I'm talking about Binding of Isaac kind of setting the stage, or like kind of determining what roguelikes are like going forwards, and then like any game that tries to be like Binding of Isaac has to contend with the fact that Binding of Isaac exists, was there first, and is probably the superior game. And it fascinates me a little bit that Bullet Heavens very much are suffering this exact same problem. I guess it's because, like, no one ever learns. How can you? Kind of. You know, this is just hard-coded into humanity. How many different stories out there have tried and failed to copy Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and whatnot? Though, humorously enough, like, sometimes it can work. Like, Star Wars was literally supposed to be a Flash Gordon movie. And Lucas couldn't get the license, so he just decided to make his own thing, and it actually worked out great. And, I mean, Lord of the Rings, I don't know, there's been plenty of fantasy media that feels very Lord of the Rings adjacent. Some works, some doesn't. I don't know. I think it's a little easier to escape. I think Lord of the Rings got codified in as the template for fantasy media for a while. And rather than everything feeling generic, it just feels like a shared universe, even if it's multiple universes. So we can pop the explodey bugs pretty easy with this build. Which is good. Let's see. Wave, dagger, more dagger, more dagger. Not what I'm aiming for, though. But that's okay. I'd love to see... Oh, you know what would be a really cool way of handling this? How many of you have ever played Dynasty Warriors? I don't know about the new one. I'm not talking about the new one because I haven't played it yet. I'll pick it up at some point. I just didn't really feel like spending $60 on a game that I'd only put an hour into. Like at some point I'll pick that up and actually put time and effort and energy into it, but not now. But one of the things I remember that was pretty classic to this series is that you'd have different like kind of weapon combos that you would unlock over the course of character progression. You know, maybe you start with like a 3 attack plus heavy hit combo, but eventually you're able to do like 9 light attacks and then 1 heavy attack, and that 1 heavy attack would have like a really crazy combo where you're like doing flips and stuff and throwing your weapon around and doing wild things as a result. Probably just go for more attack radius. Because we want my... That's it. That's what the music was missing. The reason why I wasn't vibing with it. I need just like a chorus in the background going, just a bunch. That's all it needs. You can have drums, you can have all sorts of things. Maybe throw a little bit of electric guitar for flavor, but mostly you just need those, like, just gravel-throated men, just vocalizing in the background. And then everything sounds so much more, like, vibey. I'm bad at talking about music, unsurprisingly. Fine. You want to be that way, I'll pick it. Yeah, can I kill my way through a bunch of these guys? The answer seems to be no. The headsmen are kind of rough. I do a bunch of damage to them. I do not like that flashing, though. I like the corpse explosion projectile system, but I kind of wish it was just, you just had a percentage chance. Oh, I'm not dead. I kind of wish it was just you have a percentage chance of causing a corpse to explode every time you kill an enemy. I think that would generally be the more powerful system. But I guess it would be hard to balance. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, no, that Starfall shard. Corpse explosion is very good. The flamethrower is worthless. I put a lot of upgrades into it, and it was not good. I think I just needed more of them. Because I didn't go into projectile quantity at all. Does this have anything over here? Not available in the demo. As the one problem is I have no idea what I can interact with, and so I just was like, oh, most of these aren't available in the demo. I guess it's not worth my time. Okay, lost. What did we lose? Legendary affix. Oh, I see. We'd lose the legendary affix. Well, we're not using it anyway. So what do we have? A second legendary belt. Whirling blade flies in a straight line. This is better. What does plus item identification do? So I'd lose dexterity, vitality. I think it's better. But hard to tell. What about this one? Throwing dagger increases projectiles by 100%, throwing in random directions. So we lose some armor. We gain a bunch of stats. Oh, so the little, like, star things indicate extra bonuses on top of normal. Okay, so more damage per second. So less weapon power, but a higher attack per second. Basic attack projectile count. Strength, all damage, and crit damage. Yep, seems worth it. Strength projectile count. Sure. And the rest of this is mostly garbage. That's fine. I think I'll keep the one legendary belt around. Just because. So, I think I'm going to stop here. At least for now. I like what it's doing so far, but I think my complaint holds that this is a really generic bullet heaven. Like, not an interesting one. With an interesting gear and equipment system attached on top of it that makes the game interesting. I'm not trying to be like too dismissive with this. This just is what it is. And that I'm sure we get more complexity as we go along. It seems like there's extra NPCs to talk to that might do interesting things. Plus, hopefully we get other characters we can interact with as well. Or play as. Hopefully. But that I don't like the fact that my starting build and even my basic attacks and abilities are the same. That, you know, my axe swing attack is just a wave forward, and it gets a little bigger, and it gets a little longer, and a little wider, and maybe it comes out a little faster, but that's all my basic attack is, and it never really gets more interesting. Same thing with the axe toss. Like, okay, maybe with some extra projectiles I get another axe, but it doesn't do anything more exciting. Hence why I was saying I kind of wish corpse explosion was a % chance off of just like any kill, because then, oh, that really does synergize more with my axe attack. Or you could even like have these things kind of interlocked differently. So like, hey, here's corpse explosion, but it gives like a bonus chance, but only only procs with your primary attack or your secondary attacks. Like maybe even when you pick the skill, you actually get a couple of choices within that. So it's more of a like tailor make your build to your current gear and equipment and abilities rather than, yeah, not available in demo, rather than just being like, oh, this one gets bonus damage and cast speed. And it's like, oh, okay. It's fine, but it's not exciting. And then also just in general, like, maybe part of the problem is we just don't have that much variety yet, but I was seeing and picking the exact same abilities over and over and over and over again. And like, I actually really wish I just had the Diablo 2 or Diablo 3. My wife just exploded into a series of sneezes in the background. Surprise. But the Diablo 2 like talent system where like you have a bunch of basic abilities, and as you level up, you gain access to more and more, and then they have synergies between them, you invest more points in. And then within the bullet heaven context of this game, then you go on the run, and then you're finding upgrades for them that switch their abilities around even further. You know, small percentile bonuses and overclocks every X number of levels. That would give you just so much fine-tuned and interesting control over what your build is. And I think it would feel more exciting than this, because right now it's just go on a generic bullet heaven run, come back, get good items. But even within that, the regular item, like the items aren't even that exciting. Like the only thing that actually makes this item cool is the whirling blade flies in a straight line plus damage. I love that. The rest of the random stats, completely irascible. In fact, not even that interesting, which I think is a bit of an issue. You know, it's bonus piercing chance, a little bit extra armor, plus $3 stats, like stuff like that. I think you can kind of tailor make for a build. But one thing I really like about Death Must Die is that most items only have like 2 or 3 stats on them, and they're a lot more impactful than just like a small percentile bonus. It's like 30% movement speed. Oh, is that good? I don't know. Or even more movement speed, but you get less dashes. Like, having those bigger numbers makes sense, and it feels more satisfying. And so I think part of the problem that I'm running into is I don't see much that would make me want to play this over Death Must Die, but I could see it getting there if it leans harder on the Diablo side of things. Specifically, I would say also, I don't like the fact that the mana system is only for my right click. That feels really weird. That I want the developers to somewhat take this, go back to the drawing board, and inject a little bit more of that Diablo DNA into what this game is, and I think it'll be so much better for it. And that's really all I have to say about it. So, for now at least, I might as well mention that the Tower of Babel demo is available on Steam right now, so if you want to pick it up and play it yourselves, just follow the link in the description below. It's, like, despite me being dismissive, it's decent. It's not bad. I think the main problem is just there's so many bullet heavens out there that, you know, some of them are starting to come off as not good enough. And luckily, this is still in demo form, so the developers have plenty of time to hopefully enhance it and make it better. And I think if they can do that and really come in with a strong showing the next time it's available, either like a big patch to the demo or when it hits early access, then I think it could be something special. And I think it's got the potential for that, and I look forward to it. But I didn't want to pull my punches in case they were just like, yeah, this is fine, because I don't think it is. And, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll sell well anyway. I'm often wrong about these things, but it's one of those where, like, I'd be hard-pressed to come back for more immediately, or really anytime soon, until a lot of these things get improved in a meaningful fashion. And I'm not trying to be rude, it's just a, like, I want this to be great because it has the potential to be. It just needs to go that extra couple of miles. Anyway, I guess with all that said, if you like this video in any way, shape, or form, leave me a like, it helps more than you know. And if you want to see more rad new games every single day, then hit subscribe because I got tons to check out and show off. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.